Hello, everyone, and welcome to SDL Circle, the podcast where we peel back the layers on the system and social issues that shape our world. I'm Jim.
And I'm Eva. Today we are diving into a topic that rarely makes headlines, yet impacts millions: the intersection of poverty and the justice system.
So, grab your coffee, relax, and join us as we explore this critical issue.
So, Jim, it's not every day that you see a discussion about how fines, fees, and bail policies end up setting poor people on a path to incarceration, not because of violent crime, but mainly due to their economic shortcomings.
Absolutely, Eva. What struck me most was how the system seemed to work like a trap. Instead of focusing on public safety, it penalized folks for being poor. The video illustrated that many individuals are held pretrial simply because they can't afford the fines or bail. It's this perverse cycle where financial hardship becomes criminalized.
Right, it's like a system magically transforms poverty into a crime in itself. It makes you really wonder how a mechanism means to survive justice can end up causing so much harm. Seeing that they detain people for unpaid fees, sometimes even for minor infraction, is both mind-boggling and deeply unfair. It reminds me of constant debates we have had before about how justice is supposed to be equal but clearly is not.
Exactly. And when you add in the reality of jail conditions, it truly paints a disturbing picture. The video shed light on stories of inmates suffering in overcrowded, unsanitary cells without access to basic medical care or proper hygiene. For someone dealing with mental health issues like schizophrenia or bipolar disorder, being locked up without the necessary medication is nothing short of a crisis. It's appalling.
I felt a strong wave of sadness and frustration while watching that. The thought that families are torn apart and lives undone over something as basic as financial inability really hits hard. It's not merely a policy issue, it's about human dignity. The treatment of people in those situations seems utterly inhuman, especially when you consider the mental and emotional toll it must take.
I couldn't agree more. Sometimes I walked away from the video feeling almost hopeless. If such inhumanity is allowed to persist, it means our justice system is prioritizing revenues over real justice. In many places, local governments depend heavily on their fees to fund their operations. That sets up a conflict of interest where reforming the system seems almost out of reach because, well, money takes.
And then there's that societal perception that anyone behind bars must be hardened criminal. The reality is, as we learn, that many are not even convicted of crime yet. They are simply caught in a system that links financial ability with freedoms. It's astonishing how political and financial ability with freedom and financial incentives aligned against the reform of less exploitative parties.
Precisely. If you took a closer look, the video made it clear that the whole system is built on this premise of extracting revenue from the most vulnerable. It's like paying for service you never intended to use, except in this case, the service is your freedom. And that approach only depends inequality.
Now, if you had the power to change one thing to make everything most just, what would you change? I kept thinking about how a new system could actually work for people rather than against them.
For sure, in my ideal world, I'd completely overhaul the bail system. Instead of trying someone's release to cash, which clearly disadvantages to the poor, We'd use a risk assessment model. Imagine a system where pretrial release decisions are based solely on safety and risk, not on how deep someone's pockets are. Alongside that, it would be essential to have laws that prevent individuals from being imprisoned just for outstanding fines. And let's not forget the importance of proper mental health care, ensuring that anyone with a condition receives consistent treatment even while incarcerated. These changes could help break this vicious circle.
That sounds like a much fairer approach. It's about giving everyone a chance to stand on equal footing before they are deemed a criminal. When you strip away the financial barrier, you are left with a system that's more about safety and rehabilitation rather than punishment for property.
Exactly, Eva. It's really a matter of rethinking what justice means. It shouldn't be financial transactions at the expense of human well being. When you see the stories of people whose lives are derailed not by dangerous behavior but an inability to pay, you realize how urgent the need for reform is.
I completely agree. Discussions like this are so important because they push us to question the status quo. By speaking out about these issues, we are taking small steps toward broader conversation on justice, equality, and human rights.
And that's what our podcast is all about. We want our listeners to not only be informed but also inspired to think critically about these complex social issues. Reforming the system means challenging long held beliefs and working together for something more humane.
Well said, Jim. Thanks for sharing your insight today, and thanks to everyone tuning in. This conversation remind us true justice is about fairness and human dignity, not about generating revenue at someone's expense.
Absolutely, Eva. As we wrap up today's episode, always remember to question the norms and challenge the status quo in pursuit of a more just society. This is SDL Circle signing off. We'll catch you the next time. Stay curious and take care, everyone.